It's episode number 16 here for the Crazy Puzzles podcast, and I'm here with Sheldon. Sheldon, tell me all about yourself. What's up?
Hey, I don't know. What do you want to know?
What is behind you on the wall that
Well,
your head
it's
is
my
blocking?
it's my logo, and my kind of messy office. But I actually like this is real.
Real life, everyone. This is not your, auto generated Google Meet, Zoom, whatever, Microsoft Teams background. Your authentic
Yeah,
guy. You want to show who you are, no
yeah,
blur, no nonsense.
yeah.
Okay,
So
interesting.
I so actually it's a good place to start because a few years ago, we converted this office space into more of a studio because we started doing more and more Zoom meetings because of the pandemic and everything. And I was like, we wanted to explore the idea of putting together a podcast. So I kind of came up with the idea with my team to just kind of repaint the wall using a chalk paint. And the reason why I wanted to use a chalk paint and a chalkboard was because in another life I used to teach high school and I kind of miss being in the classroom. So I was like, this kind of it's just something that feels very me and very comfortable. So we used to have staff in here, and I kicked them all out, and we converted this into a studio space. And then I stayed late one night, and I actually hand drew the logo and everything on the board. And I regret not doing like one of those cameras with like the time lapse. I should have done that, and I only realized afterwards. And it was such a pain to draw it because of the weird shape with the way the D is. That I was like, I'm not doing this again, so I'm just gonna leave it up. So I just kind of left it.
Nothing ever goes good.
Yeah.
Nothing ever goes good the first time. We learn this in so many different areas in life, and you're coming from teaching. I am not a professional teacher, but I've done some coding teaching. You like to teach? What was good about teaching?
So I kind of fell into it. I graduated computer science during the dot-com bubble crash, if that gives you any indication of my age. And I was trying to get entry-level positions, and I was competing with guys who had 10 years experience coming out from Silicon Valley. So I had no chance. So I kind of fell into, I ended up working as the IT guy at a local high school, and bit by bit, I ended up in the classroom because at the time they were doing all sorts of tech enablement and trying to bring more and more technology in the classroom. I ended up working with my friends and building out curriculums, and then I eventually ended up teaching the media course for a few years because they just needed someone to teach the media course. And I just love being in the classroom. It was something that I never expected. Like my training is computer science, so I was expecting to, be at a desk, do code, be in a corporate environment. And when I started working with the kids, I was also very fortunate. The people that I was working with were truly passionate about teaching, and they kind of, I like to say that they kind of worked a lot of my bad habits out because I didn't have any respect for education at the time. I was just a dumb kid coming out of school, and I thought this was beneath me, and I'm just going to do this for a few years. And my friends basically at one point, I remember over dinner, kind of excuse my language, but kind of gave me shit for my attitude.
You can
And
swear. You
yeah,
can swear. I love swearing.
yeah,
I love
okay, perfect.
swearing,
So they kind
even
of gave me
with
shit for my
Jewish
attitude, and it
hats.
was
Yeah.
fair. Yeah, I was a punk kid, and they made me appreciate what it is that we were doing. And over the years, I really took it to heart the importance of nurturing and kind of inspiring the next generation. And teaching high school was is a very particular time in a person's life where you're starting to develop who you are. You're making a lot of mistakes. You're kind of getting out there. And I really enjoyed having those conversations with kids where it was like, well, you're about to go into the real world. What is it that you want to do? What's the impact that you want? And I really just enjoyed that time in my life. Sadly, they had budget cuts, and they ended up moving me out of the classroom, and
Oh,
they promoted me to head office, where I was in charge of, because of my computer science background, they put me in the IT department, and I became one of the network administrators. I was in charge of a multi-million dollar network across the island, and I'm very proud of the work that I did there. But I I understood that, now that I had a chance to see kind of both sides, I really miss being in the classroom. So eventually, what ended up happening was I had always wanted to be kind of an entrepreneur back before entrepreneurship became interesting and sexy and what it became today. And I always wanted to know for
yes.
myself can I do this? Can I make a go at it? So I decided I wasn't happy doing the day-to-day work at the school board. And I said, like, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot. I'm in a very privileged position where they offered sabbatical, so I could take time off from my work and not lose my job, necessarily not quit. And I took that time to kind of start building up Drive Marketing, and I took a lot of that philosophy with me when I started creating my team. So today, when we hire, one of our criteria is that everybody on the team learns and everybody on the team teaches. I don't care if you're coming in as an intern, your perspective as a Gen Z, Gen whatever, like young kid coming to your first job, you have stuff to teach us older guys because you have a perspective on technology and on marketing and what's going on that we don't, and we have experience that we can impart on you. So my friends joke because they're like, you could have done anything with Drive and you ended up creating a school.
So interesting. Wow, what so much to unpack there. You are, could we say that you are bringing skills from one completely different world into your business, into what you do today? Wow,
Yeah, I
interesting.
hope so. Yes, thanks. Um, I mean, my whole thing
Yeah.
about entrepreneurship too is that, like, my philosophy behind it is that it's an opportunity for you to kind of build whatever you want, and I enjoy like thinking deeply about problems and thinking deeply about structure and kind of culture, and a lot of that is expressed through what my team and I have built in Drive Marketing.
Amazing. And for someone who is has not yet met Sheldon Poon, who's not yet a friend of yours, what is it that you do that others are amazed by?
I don't know that I do anything that people are amazed by. I don't think I'm that interesting.
We'll put you down for modesty, first of all. But what is it then that Drive Marketing does different than other marketing agencies or
Okay, so
services?
that I can speak to. I have to caveat by saying that at this point I've been pretty much kicked out of the day-to-day operations by my team, and I'm kind of just a talking head for the real work that gets done, because
Good.
they are the yeah.
That's a necessary evil.
It is a
I
necessary
know
evil,
what
but
that's like.
I'm very proud of the work that they've done, and I think the thing that really that sets us apart is so my background in computer science has made it that I've been playing around with emerging technologies for the last 2 decades, and part of that is obviously data and AI, and I myself have written stuff using back in the day TensorFlow with Python and doing stuff like by hand. And again, I have a computer science background, so I enjoy writing code. And that's carried on in my team, right? The way that we led the developers especially is that they're constantly trying to work with emerging technologies. And the reason we ended up going into the marketing space and kind of presenting us as a marketing company is because with all of the things that were happening with data and AI, I kind of saw a pivot where the the execution side of marketing more and more is becoming an engineering task rather than a creative task. I would say in the last, let's call it like 18 months or so, I think we've finally seen the scales tip. And I would say today, if you want to be successful at running paid ad campaigns and be successful at marketing, I'd say it's 40% based on the quality of your content and 60% based on the quality of your engineering, your data capture, how you're executing on platforms, and how you're training the AI algorithms with complete and accurate data. And I think today, with given like Google's PMax, given Meta's Advantage Plus, like the training of the algorithm on accurate data is now just as important, if again, in my estimation, more important than having that creative that looks really good. Understanding these algorithms and how to play with them, how to work with them, that's the real strength of our team.
Wow, explained so eloquently and beautiful. And you're doing marketing, but you're coming in with a technology layer, a coding layer. I love coding, by the way. JavaScript, Angular,
Yeah.
React, baby. I love it.
Oh,
But
nice.
focusing on your business for a moment, should every marketer be doing a little coding? What do you think?
I don't know. Even that's difficult. I mean, you have your coding background as well, and you've seen kind of the rise of vibe coding, and you play
Yes.
heavily with that at this point. I think the way that I liken it, again, I guess this kind of shows my age. I would have been criticized back in the day because I didn't know how to write things in BASIC. I didn't know how to write things. I didn't. I wasn't. I was so far removed from the hardware layer because I was playing around with like C++ and I was working with PHP and I was working with Perl. So these were technologies that to a lot of the hardcore, the real coders that I was up
The
against,
coder
they're like,
son
oh, you're
of
just a
yeah.
kid, you don't know. Yeah, all you know is your IDEs, and you don't know how to actually like open up like the machine and actually start writing machine code.
Mm,
And was like, yeah, that's
interesting.
fair. I don't know that stuff. I guess I'm just kind of computer science light. But fast forward like 2 decades, and it's like, oh wow, you actually wrote real code back in the day. So I don't know that it's necessary that every marketer is writing code. I do think the thing that gives us an advantage is having an appreciation and understanding of how those systems work kind of behind the scenes, and at least understanding
Yes.
how the code works, even if you're not necessarily writing code where you don't have to worry about like specific, you've done this like where you're tracking down a problem, it turns out it's a comma that you put in the wrong place. Like they don't have to know how
Yes.
to do that, but they do know how to know how it works in Java. The same way, like I've gone as far in AI as I've done everything except train my own model. So to me, I'm not a serious AI guy, but I know enough about the training process that I know how it works. I understand how it interprets the data, that we can structure our strategy with that background understanding, and that alone is enough to give us an edge versus the guy that says, I don't know, I just kind of asked ChatGPT what to do. Okay, but you don't understand how any of that modeling works. You don't understand how any of this, the AI stuff, like actually, like what the math does. So to me, that's a serious disadvantage when you're comparing to what my team's able to achieve because we've done the work to reverse engineer that a little bit.
Amazing, amazing. And for and what would be your sweet spot for maybe a target audience or the kind of clients that you would be taking on? Who's the ideal client? Who's the target customer?
So our ICP is I personally like working with seasoned marketers who are in a larger organization, and their job is to lead a very talented team of marketers and creatives where they're really focused on messaging, on the emotional impact, on making sure that their brand is well represented, that it connects with their audience, that it reflects the values of the company, and does all of that emotional work that is core to what makes a brand. Where they need help is that engineering thinking, and that's where we come in. And the reason I like that is because when we're working with these very seasoned leaders in marketing, one, we can speak the same language. So when I say like, hey, like we need to make sure that we know what our CAC is, like they know exactly what that means. They understand like the different platforms. They understand the data that we're presenting to them. There's no question how we're calculating ROAS and ROI. But what's nice is that we can come in and say, hey, we're going to stick to our lane and we're going to make sure that the data is accurate and complete, that it is feeding properly into algorithms, that we're creating a feedback loop, that we know how to deal with the ins and outs and the technical issues, while you guys do really the higher level thinking of making sure that your brand is resonating emotionally with your audience. Give us all of that very, very cleaned up, very clear messaging and content, and we'll make sure that the execution of that is as efficient as possible because it's an engineering task. So we want to make sure that every dollar that you're spending, you're getting $12 back, $14 back. And at that point, when we have that very strong partnership where they're focused on the creative side, we're reporting on the execution and the number side, you start seeing those crazy ROAS numbers, and you start
Yes.
creating a really, really strong partnership where it's like, okay, when we're sitting down together, like we're really putting like the left and right side of the brain together, and we're going to make this thing like really fire. So our ICP is exactly that. Somebody who's in a leadership position in marketing within a larger organization, they have their department to focus on. Chances are they have to report to a CEO, CFO, and our job is to make their numbers look really, really good, while they focus on like doing that amazing creative exercise that we're just not good at.
Amazing. Okay, we are unpacking so much. And is your style a 100% remote? uh, when it comes to managing your team or working with your team, are
Sure.
you a micromanager kind of leader, or are you a more laid back? Are you remote? Is everything in person? Tell us how you run your company.
So we've been around for at this point 13 years. So there was a pre-pandemic era and a post-pandemic era. I think like a lot of companies our size. So pre-pandemic, we were very, again, this kind of goes into my love of just emerging tech,
Mm.
and I try to keep up with what's going on in the business world as well, management strategies, that sort of thing. And when one of the caveats of this is one of the context pieces that's important is when I started my company, unlike other founders, the mission and vision that my co-founder and I had was let's build the company we want to work at. That was it. That was our main mission. So
Why? Oh, that alone we have to unpack right away.
so
Tell. You
so
had
when I
a.
was
How did
so
that?
when I
Wait,
was working.
whoa. Sorry. How did that work? You had a. You were drunk at a bar. It was 3 in the
No,
morning.
not even. It came very organically because when I was working at the school, I loved it. I really missed my teaching days. I likened it to I would wake up in the morning and I would go and hang out with my friends because some of my closest friends, even still today, were the people that I work with back then. So I would wake up in the morning, I would go hang out with my friends and have coffee, and then we'd spend our day inspiring kids to do better with their lives. And then I would go home and relax and then do it again the next day. And like that was just such an incredible experience. And I had such a again, I was very fortunate that the school that I worked at, that it was just I don't know. Even today, I think that it just happened that the mentors that I had at that point were some of the best leaders I'd ever worked with, and some of the people that I was working with were just exceptionally good at at their craft. So when I moved to the school board, it was much more of a bureaucratic office. One of the disappointing things that I had was that this is where the money goes, and I saw how it didn't always make it down to the schools. And while the schools were struggling for budget, it was these bureaucrats that had never even stepped foot in the classroom making decisions that would change the outcome of the kid's life. So that really frustrated me. And I got
Yes.
to see, because I was working at the school board, how different schools operated and the way in which different leaders would operate their schools. And then because like it's education, so people bounce around the different schools within the board, I would talk to my friends like, hey, you're working with this principal, how's that going? Like, and I would get kind of a sense of what works and what doesn't. Over the years, you start talking to friends, you kind of see what a good company looks like and what a company looks like
Yes.
when you're just like, yeah, you
Brilliant.
don't want to, you're sitting in the parking lot going like, I don't want to go into that place. It's just awful. So when I built the company, I was like, I
Nice.
never want to work at that type of place. And if I have the chance to build something on my own, why would I not build the company I want to work at? So very logically, it's like I'm going to build the thing I want to work
Yes.
at, and the company that I want to work at allows for is a company that treats their team as adults. So an adult means that you know what your job is, you know what needs to get done, you step up when you need to, and when things are chill, you're trusted that you're not wasting time, or you're not wasting time just by taking a little bit of time for yourself. Life needs to balance with work, and as much as I'm passionate and a workaholic, I want to make sure that it doesn't completely take over my life, and I make sure that it doesn't take over my staff's life. So with that framework in mind, pre-pandemic, we were very forward thinking in that I was like, we need to have a meeting once a week where everybody's there. Everybody at the time was like 4 people, so it wasn't a big deal. But everybody needed to be in the office so that we could sit and share notes. Put your laptops away, put your phones. We would do like old school paper and pencil. I still do old school paper and pencil, and we'd have just conversations and say like, okay, who's working on what's going on, and do like a project catch up. Other than that meeting that was in person, I told them that like if you want to work from home, just work from home. I don't care. Like you know what your tasks are. We had this meeting at the beginning of the week. So already the company was already 50-50 in person and remote. So when the pandemic struck, at the time, it was early days. Nobody knew what it was. They didn't know what the vector was for spread. They didn't understand like how so many people were getting infected. I was taking public transit to get to the office, and I didn't feel safe. So I told my staff, like, I don't feel that it's safe for any of us to be on public transit right now. let's just everybody just we'll do all the work remotely. So we went from 50% remote, which is unheard of, to 100% remote, and I was able to do that with a Slack message and just tell her to like, hey, everybody's remote now. Just don't come into the office until this thing blows over. And overnight,
Wow.
and because we were already set up like that, we had a huge advantage out of the gate because you hear about all these stories from companies that had to pivot to 100% remote. I sent a message and we were 100% remote overnight. So that gave us a huge competitive edge in terms of speed. Fast forward today, and like I still have the office. I'm in it right now. We pay for it. I can't get a single one of my staff to come in, so I gave up trying.
Whoa. You can't just slip that in. You
Yeah.
have an office, a commercial space. You're paying for it. You own it. You have a lease.
Yes, we
What do
have a
you use
lease.
it
Yeah.
for? Is it
We,
for?
we, we turned into a studio, and we do barbecues and dinners and stuff here once in a while, but that's about all we use it for. And I keep my hard copy files here. But people have asked me, like, why don't you just get rid of the office? And it's just, this is where, again, I'm showing my age, but for me, I need that separation of my workspace and my personal space. So personally, I like, jumping on the bus, metro, come to the office, have my coffee, relax. This is my office space. And when I leave the office, I've left work. I'm at home. I'm doing something separate. So
Oh, you opened the can of worms of work-life balance, or should we
yeah,
just call it human life balance?
yeah.
What's your perspective on, should we work till we kill ourselves, or should we take a break and relax and go to the gym and watch a movie and hang out with friends? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, of course. Like, obviously, we should be doing all that stuff. I'm very fortunate to live in a very we're in Canada, right? We're up in Montreal, very socialist in a lot of ways.
Canada,
Yeah,
Canada, Canada. Oh, Canada, Therese knows I. Okay, we'll get back to the main.
yeah. So
Woo, Canada.
Montreal in particular has always been very laissez-faire, and like we're very like laid back compared to the American standard, which
Yes.
is good and bad in some ways. Like for if you really want to be aggressive in business and make it go at it and do that thing, Montreal is probably not the place to be hanging out. But in terms of work-life balance, it's really nice because there's that French kind of joie de vivre that we have that like makes it so that people understand that you need to have that balance. And like the other side of it is selfishly, if I look at it as an employer, right? I know that in the creative space, you can only do about 3 to 4 hours per day before you max out, and then anything beyond that, you're actually just paying people to waste time. So by making it clear to my team that like just come in, just do the work, and then once you're done, once you're burnt out, then just take off. Because when you're in the creative space, that you never really stop thinking creatively, but you can push it too far, and without that balance of downtime, you're never going to get that creative output. It's the same thing with programming, same thing with development, same thing with strategy, same thing with anything. So very selfishly, right? Like the work-life balance makes it so that my staff is more productive, that we as a team are able to achieve more interesting things. And a lot of the ideas that are kind of light bulb moments come during your downtime when you're living life, experiencing the world, and your brain is just piecing these things together so that when you come to the office the next day, it's like, hey, I was out with my kid and I was thinking about this, and what if we tried this? And it's like, yeah, that's brilliant. Let's try that. Those moments of inspiration won't happen if you're only ever just at the office doing work.
Oh my God, Okay, so a lot of what you're saying there, for the needs of all the overly stressed and American aggressive businessy people and leadership people and always choking everybody. What? How could we explain the ABCs of? Could we say laissez-faire or joie de vivre? How would we translate the? You've pulled in some beautiful French Canadian European inspired terms. How would you unpack that at a very fundamental philosophic ABC level?
So philosophically, right? Like there's this argument that the American capitalism, the way in which corporate America approaches leadership, is like the default model for success. But when you actually look around the world, there's I forget the name of the company, but it's out in Spain. There's a region of Spain that's very, very heavily what's the word I'm looking for? It's not even socialist. It's like Marxist in the way that they run it. So basically, the company is a massive conglomerate, but it's a co-op essentially where all of the employees own a piece of the company, and they all vote for the direction of the company, and they kind of make decisions as a community. So what ends up happening is that whenever there's like some decision to be made, it's not just up to the shareholders to maximize shareholder profit, because all of the employees are also part shareholders. They all get a say. And what's happened in that company is that there's a much better work-life balance. There's not as much of a discrepancy between the pay from the CEO versus the pay of the lowliest worker. There is a lot more there's a lot more humanity to the way that they work, and the whole point of it is that they were able to achieve all this and still be a massive company that's extremely successful, extremely profitable, and does very well for itself. Now, it may not be, Elon Musk level in terms of shareholder value, but the question is, does it need to be, right? Like there's something about the way that from a sustainability standpoint,
Yes.
that I feel like that way of running a company is going to be around a lot longer than the SpaceX Tesla X way of running a company, which we're seeing in the marketplace is starting to, the cracks are starting to form. So it depends on what your mandate is as a leader. Is your mandate to extract as much wealth as quickly as possible, or is your mandate to create something that's long lasting that ideally lives beyond you? So my personal philosophy is that I would love it if someday I can retire from this company and hand the reins off to somebody else and still see the company continue to succeed and grow beyond me. Like that would be a lovely legacy for myself.
Oh my God! Oh, those put on your listening ears. Everyone in America who hates their leadership style, and their employees are slaves to a desk they never wanted to be at in the first place, just to pay health care that the government won't even cover. What's wrong with the United States of America? Say crazy things.
I think it's just that over like if you look back to even today when people are talking about like look at how great America used to be, right? If you look at a lot of the ways that American society became great was providing things like free education, free healthcare, free social programs to make it so that you had like a very, very strong support network. I think what's happened is over time, corporate America has been allowed to run amok and chip away at these things and make it so that each thing has been pulled away from the public interest and put into the private hands. And I can understand people when they say like, well, corporations are more efficient than public government. The thing that I think people miss is that you have to question the word efficiency. Efficiency for who? When you think about healthcare as a very simple example, you can think of efficiency in terms of if I'm a multi-billionaire and I have three doctors at my beck and call, it's more efficient for me because the moment I pick up the phone and call them, they're by my bedside and they can take care of whatever. It's not efficient in terms of how we're using those doctors. If you think about how the public system is trying to do it, not that our public system is working by any means, but we're trying to make sure that the doctors see as many people as possible, and we're trying to handle efficiency the other way. Neither one of those in extremes are good. You need to find some sort of balance. But when people make this argument that private corporations are more efficient, they never ask that deeper question, that next question: more efficient for who? Right? And it's more efficient for shareholder value. But is shareholder value what we're trying for, or is social good what we're trying for? And again, that's when you start questioning, like, okay, well, what is your mandate? And I think by not asking that, not even deep question, just like the next layer down, you start having a different understanding of like how we built our systems. I don't know what to do about it. I mean, Canada's kind of going in the same direction in a lot of ways, but this is kind of what I see when I look around.
Amazing. Oh, I'm taking all this in, and you have clarity. Could we say that Sheldon, you have tremendous clarity over how to lead in an effective way and how to structure a situation where the right people come into the right seats and they have space to breathe and everything is transparent and and is that is the ROI of loving your employee better?
I personally think so because when you have that level of trust, right? People aren't afraid to bring up a problem, so you can snuff it out before it becomes a bigger issue. When you have that level of transparency with our clients, that's when they understand what it is that we're doing, why we're doing certain things, why we're making certain moves. So when we have conversations, they are really are conversations with clients saying like, "Hey, this is a tough situation coming up. This is what we see. What do you see? Let's come together and let's solve this together." Whereas I think when you don't trust your team and you don't give them a reason to be transparent, they start hiding stuff from you. You know, a lot of people in our industry complain that they're having trouble finding talent. Talent doesn't want to be under somebody's thumb at all times. Talent
Mm.
wants to have that room to breathe and to grow and to express and be trusted as an adult, and to be able to go to leadership and say like, hey guys, this is a problem that I think is going to happen, this is a thing that we're going to see, and know that leadership is not going to come down on you to say like, well, this is you, like fix it. Like, no, that's how you get people to turn away, and that's how you have trouble hiring. So in terms of the ROI, I think of it as when we retain staff, the institutional knowledge is just invaluable. Statistically, whenever you hire a new staff member, it takes 3 months of training to get them to produce anything. It takes 6 months before they're profitable for the business. So if you're having staff turnover every 1 or 2 years, that means that at least a quarter of your staff is being inefficient in generating ROI for the company. That doesn't make any sense when you break it down like that. Whereas when we retain staff for years, it's like, okay, I don't have to retrain you every time, and every single thing that you're coming and bringing to us is like new stuff that we can keep building and building and building on. So we're able to do more with less staff because we have less turnover.
Less turnover. Less turnover is the smartest and simplest way to run. It's a no-brainer.
It's a
Why?
no-brainer. Yeah, it's
It's a
how things kind
no-brainer.
of, yeah.
Are people begging to work for you and with you and for you?
I like to think so. We have a very strong internship program as well that we're very proud of. We work with a few of the local universities and CEGEPs in town. And we recently found out that the teachers who are in charge of the internship program, they actually kind of control who gets to apply for our internships now, which we're kind of proud of. And like we a lot of my staff that I have today started off as juniors and interns and kind of grew with the company over time. So yeah, I think we're quite proud of the fact that every time we put out a job offer, as soon as they start having conversations with us, they're like, oh yeah, I want to work here. And anytime we put out a kind of anytime I get the chance to kind of talk about the company, not talking about what we do, but more deeply about the philosophy of what we've built, I get a lot of the same thing where people are like, oh my God, I want to work there. I'm like, yeah, we're not hiring right now. I'm sorry. We're full up, but like, yeah, I like working here too. It's a lot of fun.
And what's a day in your life like? What's it really like to be running an efficient niche, should we say boutique marketing
It's
firm?
definitely, yeah, it's definitely boutique. I This is where I think I've been struggling a little bit lately, and my staff knows this. All of the fun stuff I've kind of handed off to them, all the coding, the development, all of the strategy stuff, all of like everybody's very specialized, and they've taken all the kind of fun stuff off my plate. So unfortunately these days I'm stuck with accounting headaches, HR headaches, I'm stuck with paperwork, I'm stuck with dealing with the government. I'm trying to figure out right now how to build and lead our a new sales staff. So I'm trying to crack that a little bit. I'm trying to learn as much as possible about the sales cycle because that's my biggest weakness. I'm just kind of spending my time talking to lovely people like you and just kind of like sharing our message and just kind of connecting with people.
And what are your thoughts on social media for your own company, are you handling? What are your platforms? Are you a LinkedIn guy? Are you a YouTube guy? Are you a TikTok guy? Are you a What's your style when it comes to your
So
company's social media presence?
that's a good question. This is where I think my engineering background worked against me. I really don't personally. I don't like being on social media so much. So unfortunately, I kind of took that into the way the company was presenting itself or not presenting itself, and that's kind of come back to bite us in the ass a little bit. So I've had to kind of shift things and be a little step out of my comfort zone. But I think the mistake when I've been reflecting on this, right, and like the mistake that I made was when you're an engineer, like when you're writing code, right, you're excited to do the thing and build the thing, and you want to show off just the thing, but
Mm-hmm.
you want to stay behind the scenes. You want to stay behind the code.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think we did that a little bit too much
Yes.
where we were
Yes.
excited about the work that we were doing and we were having a lot of fun, but we never presented it properly to kind of show, hey, like this is the cool thing that we're working on. This is why you should work with us. And we didn't like to be showy and talk about those things. And we've had to shift that because it's impacting the business. So more recently, we made sure to clean up our messaging, to clean up our case studies. Our case studies are really key because when we actually ran the numbers, we legit are getting so for context, in the fashion e-com space, right? The
Mm-hmm.
acceptable average return on ad spend is 3.65, which is considered quite good. We
Interesting.
are consistently getting over 12x.
12x,
Yeah,
like a machine. In
it's like
comes
a machine.
in
Yeah,
comes 20 dead queens, and out comes
yeah,
260.
yeah.
Beautiful, amazing. I did Mazel Tov. Amazing,
Yeah,
amazing.
thank you. We have made our clients literally like we did our numbers from last year. I don't remember the exact number, but it was over 20 million that we made our clients for like pennies on the dollar because of the efficiency of the data and using leveraging AI technology and all that stuff. So for us, really, finally putting these case studies together and forcing ourselves to do videos and do posts and we're using the social media platforms out of necessity, not out of any interest. And because
Oh,
we're using them out of necessity, we're just post it everywhere. So we're pretty agnostic. We have our video shorts up on TikTok. We have our video shorts up on Instagram. We have our longer videos on YouTube. We have our Facebook posting just random information and news. I I like LinkedIn because I've decided that I'm gonna personally choose one channel to share things on,
mm,
and a lot of the stuff that I like to share is more like kind of business related news. So I'm like, okay, let me just stick to LinkedIn, and that's where I've been personally doing stuff, and the company reshares my stuff as kind of a strategy to bring visibility to our work. But that's kind of how we've been using social media. I don't particularly like social media. It's a means to an end, really. It's just a channel. It's just that's where people are hanging out. So that's where we're putting up our stuff.
interesting. Is there anything else in the last 5 minutes we have? Is there anything else you want to share that we didn't touch on that
I I,
is
I
yeah?
want to know what that puzzle thing is on your shirt because it's really cool and it's really neat. And
Oh,
I
on my
didn't
shirt.
back
Oh,
then.
sure, sure. Why not? So this is us. This is me. This is me as like a caricature, a character, cartoon character, like based on like a number muncher, who,
Okay. I see
with the
that. Yeah.
idea to go into like, big data, like songs, lyrics in different language, and to gobble it up and to turn it into like
Oh, very
QR
cool.
codes, and that's yeah, yeah. This
Oh,
would
very
be
cool.
um, this keeps me out of trouble. Different than marketing is the world of uh, inventing toys or educational tools, and it's only that's been a large new area that I've been embarking on, with many of its own challenges, and learning about patents, and so different than technology for business use case is technology that's like newer and more interesting and weirder, where there isn't even it's so out there. There isn't even words for it, and you have to file a patent, two
Yeah.
patents, and you
And
have
come up
to
with a term and create that thing that expresses what it is. Yeah.
and you have to explain it to people, and you also have to learn. Me, also another adventure. Talk about stepping into the unknown. Yeah, am I worthy of to be a podcast host and produce video content in long form and short form? I myself am learning not so much media, but the other side of things, the journalism, the
Yeah.
interviewing. Oh, you should have saw the first 20 times I tried this. Thankfully, I deleted those and started again. Isn't it hard when we embark on a new, when it's like, okay, what do I do now?
Oh
Do
yeah,
I am
absolutely.
I
Like
to take a
you can
course
go
in
back to our YouTube
journalism?
channel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You
I,
can go back to our YouTube channel and see some of the early videos that I was trying to shoot myself, and they're terrible. And we've gotten a lot better, but it was rough. Yeah, for sure. It's a completely different skill set.
isn't it terrifying? Terrifying when it's like, okay, I'm with leadership, or even like a pioneering way to do things, or leadership. It's people come to you, yeah, as you know, if someone comes up to you, go, well, what do we do, what do I do? And then you have to make it up and make it, because we don't know what is to be. And someone goes, well, I'm younger, so you're Mike, you're turning 42, man. What do I do? I'm only 20. And I go, good question. And they're like, well, hopefully you know. And I'm like, the truth is, I never know. I'm just figuring it out. Isn't that the truth? Isn't
Yeah,
that always the
absolutely,
truth?
absolutely. And like as soon as somebody comes in and they know for sure, it's like that's a red flag. They don't know.
No one knows anything. We're all trying to make. We're all throwing stuff at the wall and see what
Yeah,
fits. And that's what leadership is. Leadership, or that's not what leadership is. That's what ownership is. That's not what I gotta. Also, I've been learning, and this was scary. I've been trying to do the what's called the uncut and the raw, where
oh
you.
yeah,
This was hard when
yeah,
when I spoke to, I'm speaking to a friend of mine who did journalism in India for 2 years, for political and global stuff, and then he did music, journalism, and writing, and we chatted for 3 hours the other day, and he's like, Michael, we need the authenticity and the rawness. And I'm like, but there'll be a 45-minute video. What if there's ums and ahs? He goes, no, it's good to
yeah,
show the vulnerability, to
yeah.
show that you're not an expert journalist. And I'm like, and he's like, fake it till you make it, and fake it. And are you also a little bit faking it till you make it?
I'll be honest. No, I am very.
Hmm.
I don't like that. I think in this is where I'm a little bit jaded. I think I've come across too many
Okay.
people that are fake it to make it, but to an extreme. Not what you're talking about. I think if anything, you're doing the opposite. And you're being very authentic, and you're struggling with letting go a little bit of that idea of perfectionism, which I think is more authentic. The fake it till you make it crowd to me is the ones that are trying to be polished because they have nothing under the surface. I think you're doing the opposite. I think you have stuff under the surface and you're trying to let go of the polish and just be okay with the blemishes.
Amazing insight. Yeah, isn't it hard when it's hard sometimes when we don't know what to do next,
Yeah.
and we're trying to figure out, do you grow in this way? Do you buy this? Do I buy phone stands and do trade shows and demo this? What
Yeah.
if people will think I'm insane? Is that normal, crazy? Isn't it the unknown? The
Yeah.
unknown of
Yeah.
growth and personal growth and business growth, and we have to do this again. There will be a round two. We didn't even
Okay.
open the philosophy of marketing, which is its
Yeah.
own.
I mean,
I'm just
I would
beginning
love
to
to.
learn about this, which is what in 1 minute. What is your philosophy of marketing?
My philosophy of marketing. I don't know that I have one, to be
That's
honest.
itself a philosophy.
It's itself a
You never
philosophy.
studied marketing at a very high level. like from the experts and reading books about it.
When you study marketing at a very high level, a lot of the strategy comes down to human behavior and how you're manipulating human behavior to do a thing, right? So, like, we default to, actually, I guess we do have a philosophy when it comes to marketing. We look for a marriage of traditional theory with the most cutting edge tech. And the traditional theory that we fall back on is the customer journey, which is awareness, interest, desire, action. And that's the typical customer journey where people first learn about your company or your brand or your service. If it makes an impact, then they'll read more. And hopefully you have something interesting to say, you generate interest. And if you do your job properly and you get in front of them enough times, the interest eventually turns into desire, where they start picturing themselves using your product or service, making their lives better. And then they take a final action, which is to contact you or to purchase or whatever. So that framework, attention, interest, desire, action, is actually was first written about in 1898 in a magazine. So it's over 100 years old. And the reason we still stick to that is because human behavior has not changed. What's changed is the technology of how you get awareness, interest, desire, action. What's changed is the execution side. And that's when we start looking at big data and AI and websites and. So we're always very conscious that no matter what we're trying and testing on the cutting edge, it has to still link up to this very human funnel and way of purchasing, and this way of organically discovering products and services.
Oh my God. Okay, we are unfortunately we will have to pause here, but
We'll do this again.
we will have a round two, maybe even a round three, and we will open up a new can of worms each time. Sheldon, a pleasure, and drive marketing, everyone. Run by one with. That's the best. That's the best end of a video. Ending there.
Yeah.